Hey guys, Heather here with Kylo Nutrition, and today we are going to make a creamy corn chowder. So there's different ways you can make this soup, and one of my most favorite ways is to use Trader Joe's roasted corn. And that's all it is just plain roasted corn, and it tastes amazing. It's frozen and you don't even have to thaw it out before you put it in the pan, okay? Then we want to make sure that this soup is creamy, and there's a few ways that you can do that. So one, I love to put about a half a cup to a cup of riced cauliflower. That's going to make it creamy, and it won't be too overpowering with the cauliflower taste. Then I also like to add in about a half a cup of potato, white starchy potato, so things like a Yukon Gold potato, peeled and chopped. And then just to start the dish off, we always like to saute some onions, maybe a little carrots and a little celery as well. Adding to the creaminess, we will use some light coconut milk. And if we really want it to be decadent, we could also throw in some raw unsalted cashews at the end and put it in the blender. You can throw in garlic to this, you can throw in roasted red bell pepper to this. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. At the end, you can kind of add a little tang with a little lemon juice or white wine vinegar as well. Overall, really hearty soup, great for the winter time. It is very satiating, and it fills you up, and it is a very low calorie dense type of dish. Okay, so we're gonna begin. We heated the pan to a medium-high heat, okay? And I have no oil in this, and all I'm going to do is add some onion. So you can hear that saute, you can hear that sizzle, okay? And I'm gonna let that cook for just a moment. And you're gonna see it turn brown pretty quickly. And when it you start to see some color, there's a few things you can do. You can go ahead and add salt here if you want. I'm going to go ahead and actually add the celery, okay? And I'm going to add some of the carrots. Stir it around. Just add a sprinkle of garlic herb. It's basically like garlic powder. And now I'm going to add a little bit of veggie broth just to coat the pan. And I'm going to go ahead and let that just sit for a little bit, about 2 to 4 minutes. Okay, so we've had this cooking for a little bit, about 2 to 4 minutes, and now I'm going to add the potatoes, and I'm going to add about 2 cups of corn, roughly, and just a little bit of cauliflower, riced cauliflower. Again, the potatoes and the cauliflower are going to help make it very creamy, and I am going to add about a half a can of light coconut milk. And if you're concerned about added fat, you can always skip that. And I'm just going to fill the rest with veggie broth. And you want to make sure that this is swimming in some liquid. So I'm going to add just a touch more of water. Alright, so there we go. So right now I have some garlic and herb in there. That's going to be good for now, and I'm going to let this simmer on the stove for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll revisit it. Alright guys, so we just finished making this creamy corn chowder soup, and it's hot right off the oven. And what we're going to do is we're going to take about half of it and put it in the blender, blend it, process it, make it really smooth, pour it back in here, and from there it's really just a preference as to how chunky you like your soup. Sometimes I'll put another half back in the blender just to make it a little more creamy. So let's go do that right now. All right guys, so now we have about half the soup in the blender and we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so we've processed it. We'll take it off the stand. It's really creamy and we're gonna pour it back in. And all right, stir it up. There's nothing wrong with having the soup just as is. It's very chunky. So you can have it like this, or you can put another quarter to a half right back into the blender, process it for an even smoother, creamier soup. I like a really creamy soup, so I went ahead and took another maybe a third, put it back in the blender, and I'm gonna process it one more time. Okay guys, so you can see here, this is a very creamy corn chowder soup. You can top this with some cilantro, and you can add a little salt. If you want a little tang, you can add just a dash of white wine vinegar or maybe rice wine vinegar. And a little cracked pepper sounds amazing to this. Really filling, very hearty. It will, you know, again, with it being filling, it's gonna help with satiety, less snacking, low calorie dense, and just an amazing meal that you can have either as part of a meal or all by itself. So again, this is a creamy corn chowder with making the cream out of like a potato and cauliflower with a little bit of light coconut milk. But if you wanted some added decadence to this, you could make some cashew cream and add it to this as well. It will increase the fat content, but it is a dairy-free option for those that are avoiding dairy.